Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to another Tarot for Our Times. Now, in scrolling and viewing all of the mess that's going on in the world, I was at a dilemma as to what I would be doing today until I saw the iHip news thing, and one of the ladies talked about, and I had heard the story about Mahmood Khalil, the Palestinian student at Columbia, being with a permanent green card, being arrested for speaking about Palestine and being active. But what really got me was when she said that the CIVIAEU, which is an organization made up of 150 countries, have placed the U.S. on an international watch list due to this arrest and the violation of human rights. So, the latest that I heard was that a New York federal judge was going to block the deportation orders until there was a hearing, at least start out with a hearing on a permanent U.S. Resident, and then ICE shipped him off to Louisiana. Now, I want to ask you, has he committed any crime? Um, and you know, I have not heard his speeches because, to be quite honest, I was kind of turned off about all of that stuff that went on. I can't believe almost a year ago on the college campuses. And I'm sure that I probably would disagree with a lot of what he has to say. But I live in the U.S. under a constitution. He has a right to say it. If I want to listen, I'll listen. If I don't, I don't. But I'm not going to call for him being thrown out of the country. If he hasn't committed any crime, and Trump has said that it's possible, though, that he was in cahoots with Hamas. Well, you cannot believe anything that comes out of that mouth. So that is hardly anything credible. So unless they commit a crime and they're not quite legal, and I know the UK deported some people with these demonstrations. I think they were probably, their visas weren't in order, this sort of thing. But this is just awful. So I do ask the question: is Mahmood Khalil the canary in the coal mine of human rights violations? And I did pick a photo for my thumbnail that said, they had various signs up, and this is the one I was thinking of. I couldn't believe I found it. First, they came from Mahmoud, and that is the famous World War II poem that came from, the Holocaust. So I don't have to love the guy, but I certainly am not going to have him deported because of, or worse, because of he's exercised his constitutional right to free speech. So, to me, this is absolutely the worst of the U.S., and we deserve to be on that list, which means people are not going to come over. They're not going to come over. I mean, it comes down to, well, I went to a Palestinian very peaceful, in fact, a boring one in London last year. Maybe they'll arrest me or so. I mean, that's so. The card that I picked it's the moon in reverse. It is the deepest, ugliest part of the soul when it is in reverse. The one dog that's tame he's feral. They're yowling at the moon. And this is the shadow. This is the shadow card of the United States. This is slavery. This is lynchings. I mean, this is nothing new that's happened. But it's very frightening in the context of, it really has a 1938 vibe to it, which I think a lot of people find very disturbing. We have all had all kinds of things, like people of color who don't have money get treated a lot differently than the rich white people. We've got a lot in the shadow, so now it's all coming to the surface, depending on what happens to this man whose wife is just about ready to give birth. I mean, and she's an American citizen. And so we want to see what they have to say about, well, of course, about the threat that this ICE thing has, the threat it has to the U.S. in the First Amendment. So first, I want to look into what is going to happen to him? What will be his fate? Now, I listened to Erica, a very interesting woman who does an entirely different way of reading cards. It's not the tarot. It's something. It's something else. Very, very interesting. But she's saying she doesn't think he's going to get kicked out. But this makes sense. He was a graduate student at Columbia, and he's probably on some grant money teaching. He may be teaching. A lot of grad students do that. So she thinks it may be that money may be withdrawn because, well, we've heard they're going to be withdrawing money from universities right and left whose politics they don't like. So that's quite a possibility. I tend to think that probably makes sense, because I don't think they're going to be able to pin anything, which means that democracy will win out, but his life is going to be made a living hell. So let us see what is going to happen to Mahmood. Okay, so first we have the Eight of Pentacles. Okay, the Eight of Pentacles is, to me, this talks about trying to get some prosecutor to the drawing board to see if they can find all kinds of charges to pin on him. But see, they're all floating in the air. He can't seem to nail anything down here. So that isn't looking too good. And then we have the King of Pentacles. So that's kind of about the money and the grants. And since it's upright, it seems to be pretty solid. And this also could go with what I'm thinking. So if you look at this card, and this is what I like about the deck, it has a very Middle Eastern vibe to it. So what this tells me is that there's probably some very wealthy Arab money to make a point that may foot the bill in case he gets the grant, just on the principle they may not love America, but they don't want to see him getting bullied out of it either. So that's a very interesting concept. So Eight of Pentacles kind of floating up in the air. Doesn't look as though there's anything that they could nail down to this desk. I mean, I'm sure they have all kinds of video, but I mean, he could talk a lot of stuff, and I will reiterate stuff I may completely disagree with. But I mean, on one hand, some people have said he said anti-Jewish stuff. Then on the other hand, I've heard he said he doesn't, that it's pretty much, he has nothing against Jews, but he doesn't like the government of Israel now. And I thought, oh boy, I guess on that point I could probably agree with him, that I don't want to see the destruction of Israel, but that Netanyahu just sucks to beat the band. Okay. Alrighty. And let's see what's beneath this. The Queen of Swords in reverse. I think I have to look. Oh, the Knight of Swords in a reverse. And lots of swords, lots of communication. Okay. So we have some very angry, and I've looked at those. I've seen some footage, and I've looked at all of this stuff, it's going on. I think it's New York and possibly LA that they had these. I mean, people are going to demonstrate at the drop of a hat, I'm telling you. So a lot of these are women I've seen, a lot of angry female energy, very, very quick communication. This is like they're going to get this out. They're going to get this out of the world so the world sees this. And to hell with CNN and MSNBC and Fox. And to hell with them. Screw them. The word is getting out. And this kind of goes back to what I'm saying here is that money will be coming. I don't know what kind of money his family has if he comes from a wealthy family. But be that as it may, there will be money coming to support him if they try to starve him out, so to speak. Because I'm going to bet if I turned on BBC, this would be all over the place. This is a worldwide story. That's why that international thing is putting us on a watch list. Who ever thought? Okay, so in opposition, we have Hot Devil. Okay, we have Hot Devil in the opposition. And that is the, I would say that, aside from the Trump stuff, which is yelling and screaming, he's a terrorist, Hamas, and I would say that there's a slick move, maybe from some more of the more sophisticated, if there are any kind of, I'd say like the billionaire class, who are maybe doing a slicker, more seductive propaganda blitz on why this guy needs to be booted out. So I guess the more attractive suits and tight dresses on Fox will probably be making with that. Okay. Then on the conscious level, we have, with this whole movement with him, I'll say, we have the Ace of, the Page of Pentacles in reverse. So I think that consciously people are thinking of him as the poor student who may be out in the cold. I don't know how true that is, but that may be a narrative, conscious narrative. Subconscious. Interesting. The Knight of Cups in reverse, which is the other end of the propaganda, which is going to be the very romanticization of the Palestinian movement, maybe even Hamas, and painting on the other end of the scale, kind of painting a picture that isn't entirely true. So this is a very confusing thing going on. But I would say, don't get distracted by this. To me, this has nothing to do with the issue here, which is the violation of the First Amendment. So to me, this is all kind of like BS distraction. Okay, then in the past, we have the Queen of Pentacles. And what this is about is, I'm going to go with a Homeland Security thing, is that the Trumpy people will be saying, until last spring, we had a very secure Homeland Security. Until these kids, came out in the street and protested. And maybe some of them are tied up with terrorists. I don't know. The thing is that you got to prove it. Come on, you've got to prove it. I can make assumptions, but assumptions are not proof, okay? So I would say, and this kind of goes with the devil thing. It's like, well, let's just roll out this really slicko. He's a Hamas lieutenant or Al-Qaeda or something like that. And he's going, and this wonderful calm thing is going to be ruined now because of him. This is very much a blast from the past of going back to the McCarthy era of the 50s, highly over estimated or highly, you know, touted decade. That was the shadow of that, was that everybody's a communist. Now they're going to do everybody's a terrorist. Okay. That got ugly, but we still had democracy. As soon as old that drunk was chased off the Senate floor, then that kind of started to dissipate. So in the present, we have the Chariot in reverse, which is like, as long as this insanity prevails right now, it's impossible for us to move forward with a lot of things that we really need to deal with. So I'm going to say that the Queen of Pentacles here is the false flag of all of this with that guy, Mahmood. And then the Chariot is in reverse. They don't want to talk about it, or, you know, or even give any idea that they may be wrong. So here we are right now, kind of stuck, and I am sure that the camps are divided, with the Trumpanzees just swinging from the he's a terrorist, from one he's a terrorist tree to another he's a terrorist. So we've got that. So coming up in the not too distant future is the Page of Swords. So what this is telling me is that there's going to be a new message that is given if he's upright, so he's not the little spy in the camp. He has a new message of truth, which I'm going to say is that this Mahmood, like, he may like to get passionate and, you know, yell at campus demonstrations, but terrorists, nah. And this is saying that there may be some information where there's proof of that. So maybe that Erica is right about what's going to happen, that this may be dropped. Okay. So let's see. Hopes and fears. Hopes and fear. Oh, boy. Here we go. Hopes and fears with the Five of Wands. I think the hopes is that that there is a fight for our rights, that people are getting out and saying, there are Jewish people out in the streets too. I saw a Hasidic rabbi on video, and I saw a sign somewhere that said the Jewish people do not approve of this. So this is being out in the streets. The fear is that could be, if it gets out of hand, it could be ugly and used to further the propaganda over here. So this is definitely a hope and a fear. And the outcome of this will be, I almost feel like saying drum roll. Okay, Tower. Okay, we got the Tower here. He may not be deported. He may be getting some money, but I get a sense it could be disaster. There could be disaster in some way for he and his family getting harassed, and it may not be by the government. Now, I'll tell you something. I lived in New York for a long time, and I can tell you that just because people live in New York does not mean that they are very liberal-minded and enlightened. You have rednecks with New York accents. I mean, I saw prejudice all over the place. Maybe it isn't as much as you would find in the South. Trust me, it's there. And people could get ugly. So I would say that I don't like to say, oh, this is going to happen. But I would say that he and his family are going to have to be very careful. Because I think what this is telling me is that there could be some tempers that explode if he doesn't get thrown out. I'm kind of thinking he won't, but I don't like to say that 100%, because this could also mean that there may be some deportation. But I'm thinking that this is more of he will be getting that there will be threats to his family. I mean, this is the way the world is. So I'm not too sure what he would do after that. It's almost like he's damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't. So a lesson to be learned from this is Three of Cups in reverse. I would say whatever happens to him, and I would say this, if he does not get deported and he gets to see his wife's like ready to deliver the baby, if he gets to stay and be with his family, I'll be glad, but it's no cause for celebration because I'm a little bit nervous about this. So we've got the Three of Cups. It's good to be happy to know that, once again, we made it. We squeaked by with our democracy by the skin of our teeth, but that's starting to get a little old as far as I'm concerned. There could be, like George Floyd, this makes me nervous in that whatever happens, that there could be, there could be demonstrations that get out of hand. So I would say my feeling about the Tower in the tarot is that we have free will, and if we have a warning there's one coming up, then we can be careful and make choices to say, whew, that was close. Saw that tower on the horizon and decided to make a different turn in the road and avoid it. So there is a chance. I don't know if it will be on the George Floyd Black Lives Matter. And if they, oh God, well, that's for another reading that I may do real soon. If they pardon that guy that killed him, although you know what else, I'll tell you what I am in total agreement with. As much as I think people need to get out and, and get in the streets and show, show some solidarity. That both this Erica, she's a black psychic, and Tabitha, who is she's a black political blogger that says, black people, stay out of the streets. You've done, and I have to agree, they have done more, especially the women, have done a lot more in these struggles than a lot of us have done, but I don't quite count myself in the white, well, I'm not a Christian, so I'm not quite white, I guess. I don't know what you call it, but I think that they have something to say, because if things get out of hand on the streets, who's the first people the cops are going to go after? So I think that I think it's time for the people of color, if they want to take a break, it's up to them. If they want to take a break, it's fine. I'm not going to fault them, because they have put themselves on the line so many times. But I noticed there were quite a few people of color in this demonstration with Mahmood. But, so that's my little soapbox thingy. So let's just see the whole thing. And I need to shuffle these up a bit. Let's see the whole thing about the trouble that's posed with the Mahmood Khalil thing. Because this is frightening. It just sounds like, some 1938 being taken out of your home and moved to another, like in Europe, moved to another country. And, people find out later or they disappear. That is just, it's scary. It truly is. So let's see what the implications are. But I would say it's not a good idea to live in that fear, but it's a good idea to be aware of it, because you'll drive yourself crazy. But you can't hide your head in the sand either. You do need to be aware of this. So, okay, let's see about the danger. Regardless of the outcome, just that this has happened, what danger does it pose? Okay, I've got everything all shuffled up. Okay. So right now, right now, and we don't know. Of course, when I finish doing this and uploading it, I may see something on the internet that has a whole different story. There's something else that's happened to him. So, danger posed is, ooh, 10 of Pentacles in reverse. This is very interesting because today we, the stock market just went, down to the bottom. And it's really nice that we have all of this money to waste on, doing this. I mean, I would say that this is just, I look at this particular 10 of Pentacles as the, in reverse, as that money isn't going into the chest, it's going out of the chest. It's just a stupid thing. Interesting how this has come down to a very earthy, practical thing to begin with. And then we have the energy is, oh boy, in reverse, hot devil. We got the hot devil in reverse as the energy. This is just so, I get, the hit I get with this devil in reverse is he's the devil on steroids. This is like completely out of control. Crazy out of control. But still with a very smooth justification and whatever fairy tale they're going to be telling with us. So, okay, so let's see. We have, oh, yes, the old Homeland Security fairy tale coming from this. Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay, so there's so much going on. And this is kind of my psychic stuff going. When I look at this 10 of Swords, this is telling me that, and it is about the leaks that are coming, that cabinet members and everybody is so at each other's throat, and they're really, and with the muskrat, they're just stabbing each other in the back like crazy. So this is part of this crazy energy that's going around as far as getting anything done to keep us from going off the cliff with this appalling economy is like on the back burner. On the back burner here. This is it. The 10s in the suits are, they are the ending. They are the ending. I don't want to say this is the end of democracy. I'm going to say this is, I'm getting a sense that there's something in the administration doing all this crazy stuff that it's going to be ending something. And it's all of these people not trusting each other. I'm wondering if they're going to, are they going to turn their fury on maybe the muskrat and make him the scapegoat? It's like all of these things are mushing up together. So let's see, in opposition to that, oh boy, the Hierophant in reverse, which is saying this is so anti what the government is about. This really is standing our Constitution and our government agencies right on literally on its head, with it being in reverse, because the Hierophant represents that. So, total chaos. This is just absolute total chaos. So, conscious thoughts. Trying to get rid of the crazy. I'm going to say that with this, as far as the danger is posed, I'm going to gather that the general American public sees, for the except for the crazies that are bigots, sees the danger in this, and they're tired of having Hot Devil over here throwing up the smoke screen. It's so messed up. So it's like kind of like letting go, letting go of, it's like they're not believing all the BS about this with the Homeland Secure, that people are just saying, if it's true, you've got to prove it to me. So that's, I think, people getting fed up with the smoke and the illusion and all of that stuff. So, oh, subconscious. On the subconscious, it's a lot of people don't want to admit that those in power are using all of their resources for not the highest and the best, shall I say. And this is this whole thing about a lot of people don't want to realize that they've been conned, because a magician in reverse is the con artist and the trickster. Nobody likes to admit that. So there's this is right below the surface. So in the past, we have the Seven of Wands. It's that feeling of starting to think, we're up against so much, everything is pushing us against the wall, and now this, and this is serious. It's like one more thing. It's also the old trick that fascists like to do with throwing all these balls up in the air, getting us all upset about 50 million things in one day, just throwing it all at us in an attempt to break us down. So it's very important to see that for what it is, and that's what they have been doing all along. This is just one more thing. I do have to say, though, in looking at this story and then just seeing something else on YouTube, it was about he is changing his mind on the intelligence with Ukraine. So it's the back and forth. You don't know from what minute to the next what he's going to do. In a way that kind of, I don't know if I should say made me feel better, but it was just something like, you wonder how much of this stuff, he's doing this stuff, he does the damage, then he pulls back, but damage is still done. Okay, so then right now with this is Three of Wands in reverse. He's just trashing our overseas allies with this. Trust me, in the age of the internet, the whole world is watching us. And this could be the guy standing on a foreign shore looking at the U.S. ship of state, say, I think that sucker's going to go down. It doesn't look too steady there. Hasn't sunk, but it's looking a little bit wobbly. So we have got that said. So the world is aware of all of this. They're also aware that the majority of us are not on board with any of this nonsense. So in the immediate future, the Nine of Cups, there are going to be more things that are going to be shaking us out of our comfort zone. But I want to step it up another step, because this guy, I believe he is a merchant, and he is in a little bit of a higher station than a lot of us middle class or less folks. And this may be the country club stockbroker guy that voted for him because of Wall Street. And now he's seeing his stuff tank, because those guys invest. And so these people are getting shaken out of their comfort zone. And then on top of that, to see that some guy is being picked up off the street ready to be deported because the powers that be don't like a speech he gave in Colombia last year. And with the threat, who knows, he may have a family member. Some of these guys have, this is in reverse. Some of these guys have family members who might have been protesting, or so they think, are they going to drag them in? I mean, this has a lot of stuff, emotional stuff going on. This guy thought, I'm just thinking of the money, but now the leopards are kind of nipping at his heels, ready to go for his face. So then, this is getting serious. Okay, further out in the future, we have, well, now we have these guys in reverse, the Five of Wands in reverse, which is telling me, and this may be why I saw that thing, why he's now releasing intelligence to Ukraine, because this may be to keep the forks and pitchforks and torches from coming up Pennsylvania Avenue. So there could be kind of a backing down from this, because the natives are getting restless. And also that there's the infight. See, this is the thing. There's the infighting going on in the administration, which could be a saving factor for Mahmood. Okay, so in the hopes and fears, okay, there's always hope that in the ruling people, that if they can keep us arguing and maybe reopening the wounds of last spring, when the Jewish kids were getting harassed and the Palestinians were fighting and all this kind of crazy stuff that went on. Well, maybe they could revive that, and that it's a sort of a form of divide and conquer. But I think the fear is what they're seeing Jewish people and Palestinians together. I mean, this may be what brings, I mean, it's not going to solve the whole problems of the Middle East, but this is what's bringing some of them together. So let's see. The outcome, we have the Knight of Pentacles. Well, this is the slow-moving Knight of Reason, and he is the loyal knight. What I'm picking up here is that he is the knight of supporting the Constitution, and that there will be communications and probably some money donated to this guy. But he's going to be, he moves nice, and his horse is going fairly slowly as opposed to the other knights. And there may be a leader that's going to say, you guys keep your heads together. They're looking for this to go round up a bunch of people. So there could be a voice of reason. I'm wondering if this could be Bernie. I'm thinking maybe that this could be Bernie, who comes into, he's a real if you saw my very recent video, he is a real crowd pleaser. So we have that factor, which I think could be Bernie. He can give a fiery speech, but I think he could be Uncle Bernie and calm the troops down. So what can we learn from this? As this unfolds, to go to the law, because the King of Swords is a lawyer and a judge. He is he's the federal judge who's saying, stop, you can't do this. So it is very important is to say, we have the Constitution and we have the law on our side. It's because we could all be him. I mean, think of it. But then to turn to this and to know, see, he knows when to hold the sword steady, and he knows when to wield it, and that is the lesson to be learned. You can go out in the street and make a lot of noise, but you have to know that there's only so far that you can go before it gets ugly. So I would say that this is a wake-up call. I'm sensing that this guy it's looking, I'm giving him more of a 50% chance of being able to stay. Now, what his life is going to be like, that's a whole other story. But this is this is why I'm saying the canary in the coal mine. This is something we have ignored throughout history. In 1938, isn't that long ago, And I'm glad that people are reviving that history, because we have choices that we can make, and it's time to stop this in the bud. We don't want to say that first they came from Mahmood. No, we want to say Mahmood was the canary in the coal mine. We yanked him out before the fumes got to him, and we nipped this craziness stuff in the bud. So I would say, unless he's committed a crime, which apparently it doesn't look like he has, this is just awful that we're getting on a list, a watch list. I mean, let that should be enough to give anybody some pause. I am still of the thought that this administration is it's tanking itself. I don't know how this could be sustained for very long, but we need to take a very close look at this and say we're just not. We've seen this happen too much in history, and we cannot let it happen. Whether we agree with him or we disagree with him, because this is what America is all about. Is that we can disagree with people. We can block them on Facebook. We can not talk to them when they go down the street, but or even tell them they're a jerk for what they believe. But that's about as far as it should go, or else we just become as bad as what the administration is doing. So I wanted to tell you I did starting a new little series called Justice Matters, that I'm going to be, whenever the mood strikes me, I'm going to be taking stories, legal stories that Glenn Kirshner does on his Justice Matters things, and take a deeper dive with them into the with the tarot. And I have one that came up on the evening of the 11th. So I hope you see it. It's not as long as these. So at any rate, have a good night, morning, day, wherever you are, and I'll see you soon. Bye.